Detective Anna Caldwell knew that behind every case of silence was a story that screamed to be heard. But when she first came across the murder of Lisa Thompson, a seemingly ordinary librarian, she found herself at the heart of a conspiracy that would tear open the darkest corners of her city. It was well past midnight when the phone rang. Detective Anna Caldwell had just slipped into her bed, her mind still lingering on the day's unsolved cases. The persistent beeping of her cell phone yanked her back into the realm of the living. She rubbed her eyes and groggily picked up. The voice on the other end was calm, but there was an unmistakable urgency. Detective Caldwell, the voice said, clipped and terse. There's more to Lisa Thompson's murder than what's been reported. You need to investigate, and you need to do it quickly. Before Anna could respond, the line went dead. Lisa Thompson was a name that had barely registered on Anna's radar. A quiet librarian in her 30s, found dead in an abandoned warehouse in the city's outskirts. Her life extinguished as quietly as it had been lived. Initially, the case seemed straightforward, a routine drug-related death, or so it appeared. But something about the call, the tone of the voice, gnawed at Anna. She'd worked enough cases to recognize when something didn't add up. The next morning, Anna visited the library where Lisa had worked. It was a modest, unassuming place, a building as quiet and orderly as its employees. At first glance, nothing about the scene stood out. The shelves were perfectly aligned, and the smell of old books filled the air. But as Anna sifted through Lisa's personal effects, she found something unusual, an unfinished journal entry. Asterisk, I have to make a choice soon. They know too much, and it's only a matter of time before I can't hide it any longer. Asterisk, the words were cryptic, but Anna was no stranger to hidden messages. This wasn't just a random act of violence. Lisa had been silenced for a reason. The deeper Anna dug into Lisa's life, the more questions she had. No one seemed to know anything about Lisa's personal life beyond her work at the library, except for one thing: a man who visited her frequently, a man who kept the shadows, never revealing his face. Anna decided to track him down. James Porter. That was the name Anna had uncovered. A man who was a puzzle in himself, reclusive, always wearing a hood, a stranger to most but someone with a story. Anna found him living in a dilapidated apartment near the outskirts of the city. When she knocked on the door, it creaked open slowly, revealing a man with hollow eyes, as if he'd seen too much in his life but hadn't yet come to terms with it. His hands trembled as he invited her inside. I didn't want this to happen, James said, his voice barely a whisper. Lisa, she was trying to get out. She was trying to expose them. I couldn't protect her. Expose who? Anna asked, pressing forward. His eyes darted nervously. The Silent King, he said, as if the name itself were an incantation. He's the one who controls everything. Drugs, extortion, death. Lisa was going to testify against him. She had everything. This was the lead Anna had been waiting for, but it didn't come without a price. James was deeply embedded in the criminal world, and his confession carried weight. He was a pawn in a game far larger than himself. He could have been her ally, but he was also a liability. As Anna continued her investigation, she learned about the criminal syndicate run by a man known only as the Silent King. He operated from the shadows, pulling the strings of a vast network of drug trafficking, money laundering, and political corruption. Lisa's role in this underworld was key. She had been working with a federal agent to build a case that could bring down the entire operation. But Lisa hadn't been careful enough. She had underestimated the reach of the Silent King. And now, she was dead. One more casualty in a world of invisible wars. The deeper Anna dug, the more she uncovered about Lisa's involvement in the case. The victim wasn't a passive bystander. She had been a courageous woman, fighting to expose the empire that had destroyed countless lives. She wasn't a victim in the traditional sense. She had been a whistleblower, and her silence had been her final act of defiance. Anna wasn't the type of detective who let go of a case easily, especially one as personal as this. She couldn't let Lisa's death go unpunished, not when there were still so many questions unanswered. But the Silent King had his own army, men who would do anything to protect his empire. Anna knew this wouldn't be easy. She was up against a man who controlled the city from behind closed doors, a man who could vanish into the shadows without leaving a trace. But Anna Caldwell wasn't afraid of shadows. She tracked down every lead, uncovered every lie, and began piecing together a picture of the Silent King. With the help of James Porter, who reluctantly became her ally, Anna infiltrated the criminal underworld, gathering the evidence needed to take down the kingpin once and for all. The final confrontation came on a stormy night in the heart of the city. Anna and James, armed with nothing more than their wits and a handful of damning evidence, confronted the Silent King in his private estate, an impenetrable fortress surrounded by armed guards. "You're too late," the Silent King said coldly, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "You think you can take me down with nothing but a few scraps of paper?" Anna stood tall, her resolve unbroken. "The truth is a weapon, and I don't need anything more." In the end, it wasn't brute force that brought down the Silent King. It was the quiet determination of a detective who refused to back down. With James' testimony and the evidence they had gathered, Anna managed to expose the criminal syndicate, leading to a full-scale federal investigation. The Silent King was arrested, his empire crumbling under the weight of his crimes. Lisa Thompson's name would not be forgotten. Her death had not been in vain. She had sacrificed everything to bring justice to the people of the city, and Anna Caldwell had ensured that her story would live on. The Silent King was in prison, his network shattered, but the quiet librarian's legacy endured. In the end, Anna learned something crucial, that sometimes the loudest voices are those that have been silenced, and sometimes it takes someone willing to listen to the silence to uncover the truth. Detective Anna Caldwell's pursuit of justice was not just a professional duty. It was a personal mission. The case of Lisa Thompson had begun as a simple investigation, but evolved into something far more significant. It was a story about the courage to confront the darkness, the strength to rise above fear, and the power of silence as a weapon. In the shadows of the city, truth had been waiting to be revealed, and Anna was the one brave enough to listen.